Buddy, happy Thirsty Thursday. Welcome to another episode of the Next Gen Live. I'm Rory Sauter. Joining me is Brian Perez. We have Bill Muckler. We have Greg Merck. A lot going on in the media. It's been quite the week. Headline after headline. Merck, where do we start, man? Give us the rundown.
Well, I guess, being a numbers guy, I would start with Jerome Powell and his dovish talk. This is as dovish he's been and maybe ever. I've never really heard him talk this dovish, sending the markets into frenzy. He's basically signaling that there's going to be rate cuts next year. So the stock market loves that. The lower cost of capital means that the burdens that they've been having with this 5.5% interest is going to go away. So they think, but all yet to be seen. And then, of course, on the political front, there's the Hunter Biden, the disgraceful gaslighting charade that he put on in front of the Capitol building, only to walk away, get in his car, and go home when he says he was there to testify. But then the new numbers are out about Biden versus Trump, and Trump's leading by very beyond the margin of error in a number of swing states in the national polls. So they're going to go full throttle in trying to convict him. Because I think that's their only chance of winning in 24. So, yeah, so many things going on, lots of bad news. I now don't know a whole lot of good news. I guess unless you are looking to refinance a $100 million loan next year, I guess it's good news for you to think that it's going to be, you'll be able to do that at a lower rate. Other than that, not good news.
It just came out that mortgages went down. Rates for mortgages.
Yeah, they broke the support of 7%. I think 6.67 was what I saw on the average for the 30-year fixed. So yeah, coming down, but I don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, not sustainable.
No.
I mean, how long do you give it, Greg?
Well, I mean, it depends. Look, it's election year, so I know that they're going to have to lower rates substantially to bring relief to the American people. Because you think about it, it's not just that inflation's coming down, but we've had massive inflation for the last 3 years, and it's not going to go back to pre-COVID level pricing. So, they're going to have to lower it very quickly. But the only way they're going to do that is if the economy is showing serious recession or worse. Otherwise, it will be, I think, construed as the Federal Reserve trying to fix the election in favor of Democrats. I don't know how they're going to respond to all this because there's so much politicization, not only in the Federal Reserve, but obviously, the Democrat Party and the Justice Department. So hard to say. I don't think that it really is going to matter much of it, if it drops down to 6%, because you've got massive insurance costs. Taxes have gone up for people and their housing taxes. I don't think a couple percent is going to make a difference on the mortgage because everything else is skyrocketing.
Bill.
Yeah, Greg, great analysis.
Agreed. Very well said.
I agree as well.
Yeah, I like your background back there too.
Me too.
Being in Florida, boy, our insurance rates are just going crazy. And for
That's
example,
what I've heard. Isn't it funny how all three of you guys are in Florida?
Yeah,
we're the only one in California.
We're trying to catch up to you, Rory.
So Brian and Greg know what I'm talking about. Yesterday we had our board of directors meeting, and I try and go and keep up with it. I've gotten some of the guys I've gotten to know real well just happen to be on the board. And one of the owners brought up the fact that our insurance costs are so high, we got to get competitive bids. But guess what? The board could only find one insurance company in the state of Florida that would actually insure our condo association. Greg's shaking his head. He knows about this. Brian does too. So our insurance costs have gone up so much that I'm not sure exactly what the increase in our percentages, but 3 years ago when I moved in, that was in December of 2020, my insurance was like $396 a year, and now it's gone way up. My association dues were $400, I think $410, Now they're 570 something.
Build back better.
And it's all based on insurance costs. The insurance have gone up so much. So along with, the rates like Greg was talking about, going down a little bit, maybe they'll come down, to make the Democrats look good. But inflation's only going to be cured, in my estimation, by energy. It's got to be energy. If we can get back to where we're drilling and people are confident that we can get affordable, reasonable energy costs, coal and oil, gas, we'll get the costs down, get inflation down rapidly then, because that's really what drives everything. Everything we make has got something to do with energy, whether it's petroleum products that we use to make plastic, or we use to heat boilers with to make different products with, or the distribution, transportation, everything. I don't see any way out of this until we get a complete change in direction. And the Democrats, I'm sure, this whole thing was intentional. Drive the gas price up to see if we can get everybody buying EVs, and we know that's not going to work, but people fall for it.
And Bill, you were bringing up insurance in Florida. What makes it so expensive? Is it the most expensive in the country?
I don't know about being the most expensive. The other, Brian or Greg, maybe can shed some light on that. We've had some hurricanes, and in where we live, we've had a big hailstorm. So this goes back, way back, like 20 years ago when we had a series of hurricanes came through. I guess it was around 2004. The insurance companies just pulled out. For example, I can't get my condo association. I can't get my condo insured by USAA, although I've been a USAA member for 63 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the real problem started with exactly what you say. The insurance companies moved out. They're just paying too much. The hurricanes were killing them. So you have very, very small supply of insurance companies, maybe 5 major companies. So right there. And now you throw in the inflation and the housing market going up. If a house is, a $200,000 house to insure, now the house is worth $400,000. So the insurance is going to go up commensurate with the increase in the value of the homes. So that's what's driven it in the last 3 years. The long-term thing has been the insurance companies pulling out of Florida because it's too costly. But then the more recent has been the inflation, the inflated home values. And to give you an idea what my home was, 3 years ago, it was $2,000. Then last year it went to $5,700 from $2,000, and then from $5,700 to $7,700 this year. So that's quite a jump in just the 3 years, from $2,000 to $7,700.
Yeah, that's like triple, and then you. For myself, I pay cash for my unit, so I'm okay. But people are renting; they can't afford it, and the people who the landlords, they got to pay the insurance. The renter doesn't have to pay
insurance and taxes.
So, which is why it's actually getting cheaper to rent now than to buy. So this whole American dream, got to buy.
Oh, nothing to be happy.
At the point right now, though, it's more financially beneficial to rent a house, certainly here in Florida, than it is to buy and pay all of the high costs from the mortgage, rates to the taxes to the insurance. It's cheaper to rent.
Yeah.
And I guess what this whole conversation really is about is, with an election coming up in 11 months, if the prices of everything are so high, the cost of living is so high, how's that going to affect the election? For example, I saw in Michigan, for example, I'm really concerned about those states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and so forth, Pennsylvania, Ohio, because those are the swing states. Trump is leading, I think, 50-40 in Michigan, but will that hold up if they bring the prices down? Maybe people will go back to Biden.
Well, they'll use other distractions, Bill. I was reading today about it. They already predicted a future pandemic in January of 2024. The Defense Authorization Act just got renewed today by Congress and Senate, which is dangerous and very scary for people who don't know. That means the government can continue to spy on you and listen to everything you say and do. It's basically to keep coming after people like us and everyday jabrones who are just trying to take care of their family, feed their families, and who love this country. The whole reason why the open borders is open is because we have people that are leading our republic who hate it. They hate our country. They want to cancel our votes out. And that's the reason why they're doing all this stuff. It's the new world order, like Bill and Greg were touching on about just home ownership or insurance and other things that they were talking about. It is about just wiping out the middle class, the everyday person, and the small business owner. There's also a bill coming up for the small business owner that you need to keep an eye out. That's going to really, I forget the actual what it's called, but it's the net nell or something where they have to report if like they move or something and they forget to report it to the government. They could come after their business. I forget what it is. I'll have to research it.
Yeah, it's all businesses under $5 million in revenue and under 20 employees have to register with the FinCEN, and they have to actually. It's quite a bit of paperwork. My understanding is 3 to 4 hours worth of paperwork, and not only what you do in your business, the design is to prevent money laundering, but we all know it's an attack on small businesses, and that's exactly what it'll become.
Exactly. And how do we do that for our own government to prevent money laundering? That is the question.
Yeah. But I don't know that people hate America. These people, they just hate us. They hate people that have a conservative view of this country. They hate the vision that the founding fathers had. They love America. They love America because listen, America feeds the world. America gives to the world. I mean, we're the most benevolent nation in the history of mankind. Nobody's a bigger sucker than America. And they love the fact that they can create all of this wealth by printing money and spread it all around the world. But most importantly, stay in power. That's really what the key is. When you look at the southern border, it's not about so much hatred of America, so much as it is about staying in power.
Yeah,
and they stay in power. Well, they stay in power by getting, a just unlimited amount of future Democrat votes. But more importantly, and this is what most people don't realize, they stay in power by creating a massive expansion of the federal government. Because, we got 10 million illegals and they're all over the country right now and they're housing them and they're paying. It's creating this massive expansion of the federal government. And what does that do? Well, that means you got to raise taxes. That means you got to suck people into the system. It's all by design to redistribute wealth and control the masses. And not so much hating America, but just hating our vision of America, wanting to fundamentally transform it.
Because our vision is we love this country. We love our Constitution. We love our Judeo-Christian principles. We love God. And they hate all that. They hate that, but they use it. They like the freedom of it, though, that they take advantage of, but don't want us to use.
Well, I mean, I didn't fight I didn't serve my country. I fought to serve the values that we stand for. I don't love America. I love the values of America that we were founded. I love freedom. Look, I'm not going to love America forever because as they continually dismantle our freedom and destroy our way of life, what's there to love? I mean, this whole love. Do I love the AOCs and the Elizabeth Warren and all of the radical leftist progressives? Because that is part of America. So I can't say I love America. I love the values. I love conservative values, fiscal conservatism, and social conservatism. These are the values. So I love and support a system of ideas and values. But the country, I mean, look at we elected, whether how much cheating went on or not, we elected a guy who's cognitively in the grave. So what is there to love about this country?
People's feelings, though, Greg.
Well, that's too bad. And we got, another 10, 15,000 at the border coming in. And look, I don't blame these people. And you know what? I don't see one white person, not a single white person in all those thousands. But they're all coming here. Can you blame them to get the free stuff? No. So this is America. What is there to love about that America that is destroying your way of life and mine? And not only that, but putting our lives and our livelihood in jeopardy. Yep. It's a national security issue. It's an economic security issue. What is there to love about that? I love ideas, but if this is the country of the future, this is not the country I'm going to love.
Amen.
Yeah, and I think our founding fathers would be saying the same thing, Greg.
Yeah, the men
absolutely.
who stormed the beaches in Normandy are rolling over in their graves right now.
Yeah. Tony Rodriguez, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Good, man.
Hey,
We're
Tony.
blessed.
What's on your mind? What are your thoughts so
Rory's
far?
glad to have another California guy on.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by all Florida dudes. It's good to have a California guy join us.
The free world, Florida.
Right.
No, I mean, there's a good friend of mine named is Siaka Masasaki. I don't know if you guys heard, but
I've had him on the show, Tony. I interviewed him on my show about a year ago. He was on my show for about an hour and a half. We did a really in-depth, detailed, thorough, great interview. I learned so much about him, and I just think he's such a stand-up guy. And him and I remained friends after, and we talked from time to time, but I haven't talked to him in probably 6 or 7 months. And I read about this last week. And
right, he's the vice chair for the LA GOP, by the way, too.
Oh, I did not. Is that a new position he just got?
No, he got it about 6 months ago.
Okay.
And they arrested him initially right after January 6th, and then they let him go because of lack of evidence. And now there's some bullshit misdemeanor charges they're pressing against him.
I also read they're slapping him with a few felonies, right?
Yep. They started with misdemeanors. Now they're going felonies.
Oh wow! Our Florida GOP chair might be going to jail too, or be resigning and being paid off.
Tony, wait. So, what do you think what kind of consequences do you think he'll face? Do you think he'll get a couple of years? Do you think he's going to get what do you think?
He's probably going to get a couple of years if it keeps going the way it's going.
Oh my God!
But the sad part is that it seems like everything was okay till became the vice chair of the GOP. Then the investigation kind of picked up steam. He's a very conservative guy, as you know.
Yeah.
He's very he's a constitutionalist.
Right.
He's in a position of a little more power now that he's not running for office. And they arrested him at the airport after he came back. He was part of a movie called Lady Ballers. I don't know if you guys heard of that movie. It's going to come out soon. It's an independent film made by Hollywood non-union people. And right after the movie was finished, that's when he was arrested at LAX a couple weeks back.
Wow.
And they're dragging him through the mud, of course. And he's got to go to DC, right? So he's got to fly out, go see a judge, come back, see a judge in LA. So it's kind of back and forth right now.
How many more people do you think they're going to go after? It doesn't seem like this is going to end anytime soon. Even years later, they still are arresting people and charging people. Crazy.
I think they're going to continue. I think they're not going to stop.
Wow.
Anybody that was there, whether they committed a crime or not.
And even people that weren't there are getting questioned and getting visits and getting interrogated.
And that's the fear that he has at this point, that they're going to talk to his nephew, because originally when he got arrested, he had his nephew staying at his home, and right after January 6th when that happened. So he's afraid they're going to involve his family, his wife, everybody else into it. So it's just sad that this is where we've become, right? We become a country where if you don't agree with the populace in any way, you're a criminal, you're a convict, you're un-American, you're a bad person, and yet they can do whatever they want, and it's okay because you believe in AOC and you believe in Biden and Obama and all those clowns. So.
And Tony, I've been saying for a long time, we're never going to get full transparency with the January 6th footage. We're never going to see all the raw versions. We're only going to see redacted bullshit.
Yeah, as usual. I mean, at some point, and I keep hoping and praying that the American people wake up. Mm-hmm. But I know in California it's a tough thing to do for people to wake up and see what's going on. But I hope the rest of the nation wakes up.
I do think, though, Tony, that there is hope for California. It may take a little more time, but I think there's hope.
Well, hopefully I get to see some of that change in the positive direction before it's too late. But, right now, California, I mean, we're kind of, at least I'll speak about LA County and Orange County mainly. We're kind of at a flux where some people are seeing the light, but some are still pushing back. Right. I think parents are a big key in LA County. I think the parents are seeing
Right.
what's going on, and I think that push is going to help Republicans get into school boards, city council, um, assembly, Senate districts in California. And that's going to help.
Tony, you know what I think will be a big difference too is the Jewish people of in LA County, because if they see that the Biden administration and all these are on Hamas's side, that could turn the Jewish vote as well.
No, and that's what we're hoping for. But if you notice, I don't know if you saw the riots we had in LA yesterday, where the people were blocking the freeway, and of course the Democrats were blaming it on the Jewish people that they did that.
But the Black Lives Matters did it in 2020 and it didn't matter. So what's the big deal now?
Well, because we don't want to have the Jewish people painted in a positive
I know.
view in California. So I mean, it's a lot of nonsense, and people have to see through it. And really, that's our only hope. That's really our only hope, that people see through it.
And Tony, I think you have the right stance in a state like this, being purple with your views, because that really is what California represents. It's not blue, it's not red, it's purple.
And look, and even the Republican Party in California is starting to swing that way.
Right.
Because there's no way, and you and I know this, right? There's no way California is going to be red anytime soon, right?
No.
Our best hope is to be purple,
right,
and be able to talk to each other, right?
Right.
To make a difference. That's really the only way in California.
Right. That's so true. So true. Guys, so Mark, I want to talk about the Federal Reserve in a second, but Brian, I want to go back to what you mentioned a little bit ago. You said in January of 2024, which is a month away, we are going to see another breakout of the scamdemic. It's going to be one of those type of scenarios because if it's an election year. We're already seeing hospitals fill up in various parts of the country, and they're saying it's because of COVID is skyrocketing again.
What's going to be called the Marburg virus disease?
Is that the new strain?
Well, that's what they on the CDC. That's what they deem for January 2024 as the new virus.
Marburg's not a virus. That's an Ebola type thing that just eats people's insides, their organs up completely. There's really no cure for Marburg.
Yeah,
like
I'm just reading
Ebola.
what CDC says. That's all.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I saw something right here.
The MVD outbreak information.
Oh, here we go. I saw something about hospitals and COVID.
Yeah, but they're using definitely the China virus to they keep promoting taking your booster and your jab and wearing masks. They're definitely going to use that as well, I believe. 2020 was the practice run. That was to see how many sheep they could get and how many people would fight against it. And so they're definitely, this will be the real run. Like some of us have said on here, I personally don't think we'll have an election. I think it'll be martial law and just they'll use different things. Why Rory's looking at that. And that's just what I believe. They'll definitely use another virus, scandemic, to fear the people. And that way Joe Biden doesn't have to get on the campaign trail. They can keep him hidden. And why President Trump is being indicted and fighting all these court cases. That's just what I believe. And
yeah, it says right here, a recent 30% jump in hospitalizations for COVID-19 in New York City. So, I mean, this is significant.
For sure. They're definitely going to use what they can.
Yeah, I don't know that there'll be a martial law thing. They didn't have to impose martial law in 2020. They just had lockdowns. And, it's what I said on television during a public televised debate in June of 2020, long before the pandemic lockdowns or long before the election, rather, and mail-in ballot. I said that voter fraud was a real issue. They were talking about, how are we going to get more people to vote? It's making sure equal opportunity to vote. I said, everybody already has equal opportunity to vote. I said that voter fraud was the real threat. And with all these mail-in ballots, we're just asking for massive vote fraud. It's going to happen all over again, because now I guess the new poll is out that, I don't know, some 20% of people, it was an extraordinary number, actually admitted to committing voter fraud. Now, I'm not talking about dead people voting. We're talking about people who filled out ballots for other people, people harvested, all things that are totally illegal. If we're going to have a replay of the mail-in ballot thing, forget it. It's history for any Republican.
Well, it's going to be.
Well, the fix is already in. It's already going to be handed to Biden.
Of course, that's why they're not even worried about the new poll numbers. Like, I believe the poll numbers are even wider gap.
They're not going to let Trump win. They're not going to let him win.
Exactly.
I mean, they already let him win once. They're not going to let him win again.
That's
the elites don't want him in there.
That's right. Neither do the Republicans, though, either.
Correct.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. A lot of Republicans too. But just Biden is so horrible. He's proven what every one of us knew before the election. But now he's removed any shadow of doubt for so many millions of Americans. That's why a lot of people are saying, no, I'll take Trump over Biden. But this whole conviction thing, I mean, that for a lot of these independents could be a game changer. Between that and the mail-in ballots, I mean, they could seal the deal for a Democrat win. And if it's Joe Biden, if he's still alive, shortly thereafter, he bows out for medical reasons, and Kamala Harris takes over. I'll tell you, you're talking about going from bad to worse to even worse, from Obama to Biden to Harris. It's just
Mark. You don't think Gavin Newsom takes over?
Well, not if Biden's elected. No.
Okay.
But Tony thinks Newsom's going to replace Biden.
I do too.
Well, before an election, but I'm just saying, if Biden's elected and he bows out after the election, then Kamala steps in and she's the new president. Now, would she appoint Gavin Newsom? She certainly could do that. But these kind of people, when you're incompetent like that, and you really know you're kind of honest with yourself, maybe in a dark room, that you realize what a bozo you are. You don't want to bring somebody that's really sharp under you. You want somebody dumber than you, because people like that don't bring it. I mean, just look at Biden. Look at Obama. You think Obama was going to bring? The only people that do that are like the Republicans. George W. Bush brought in Dick Cheney, who, whatever you think about Dick Cheney, he was smart on a lot of things that Bush needed. But Democrats always bring a dumber guy.
But did a lot of shady shit, a lot of crap.
But the point is George Bush wasn't thinking, I got to get somebody dumber than me.
Right.
But that's what Democrats think.
Yeah. Tony, you do think, though, Newsom is a lock? You think it's guaranteed 99%?
I still believe that Newsom is going to run.
Me too.
I think Biden's going to bow out on the medical reasons,
or the Hunter Biden reasons too, right? Maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Do you think that's a trap, Tony? Do you think they're trying to get Joe to, walk away and be out of there by charging Hunter and putting Hunter on the spot? Does that kind of send a message?
I think so, because they're letting too much happen. I know people think that I'm crazy when I think Newsom is going to do it.
Oh, I'm with you. Shoot.
But the way Newsom is acting, I don't care what he's saying publicly, and I don't believe he's setting himself up for 2028. No. I think he's setting himself up for now.
Well, with Joe Biden, the guy's half dead. You'd be a fool not to be prepping for his. It's the same, kind of the same thing, with Matt Gaetz. I mean, Matt Gaetz was going to win. He was always going to win. But, the guy had himself into so much trouble. You'd be a fool not to, if you're interested, not to kind of set yourself up, be on the ballot. That's kind of what Newsom's doing. I mean, Joe Biden could collapse any minute. And so, of course, Newsom wants to kind of stay in the fray there a little bit, because this is a very volatile situation, very volatile. And I'll tell you what, if Biden does croak, I mean, you're talk about, it's going to be a battle, a Newsom versus Kamala Harris thing. I mean, she's not going to go away easy. I guarantee you.
Nope.
No, she won't. But he's got all the dirt on her.
But they have dirt on him too, though.
Yeah, but you know what? Even with all the dirt on him, California still keeps reelecting him.
Yeah, well, because Nancy's
a Californian too, so I mean, she's got California.
But she's not as well beloved as he is, though.
And don't forget Nancy.
In California, but we got a whole other country with 49 other primaries.
Yeah,
Bill, what are your thoughts on this?
Uh, I really think that they're going to find a way to rig this election and steal it just like they did the last one. That just really concerns me because uh, we saw what happened before. They all of a sudden they just quit counting votes, and all of a sudden 2 hours later they start bringing in votes by the tens of thousands, and all of a sudden all the states completely changed. And really, the election just boils down to what, about 7 different swing states? We know which states are going to go blue: New York, Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, and so forth, Massachusetts, Connecticut. We know the states are going to go red. So it depends on what happens in the swing states. And a state like uh, Georgia, can they really fix their voting practices in Georgia to get a fair and honest election?
Yeah.
They don't want to. Florida, I interviewed a state rep. He even admitted illegal immigrants vote in the state of Florida too.
It's just
they're trying to push that for them to vote in local elections, which is the first step. It's great. The idea that we have free and fair elections is almost laughable. You cannot have fair elections and free elections with mail-in ballots. You cannot. I'm sorry. When tens of millions of ballots are going in the mail, that's not an election. That's just not. That's a nomination for a Golden Globe award. That's how you select those people. That's not how you select the leader of the free world. Who's thinking mail-in ballots? It's absurd on its face. It's patently absurd. There's nothing fair. There's nothing free about it. And there's nothing to be secure about it. There's no reason why any American should have confidence in our elections. And I'm not saying because, somebody dumped 1 million ballots. Somebody doesn't have to dump 1 million fake ballots. Somebody doesn't have to do like Mayor Daley did and resurrect dead people and give them votes. They don't have to do that to still be violations of state constitutions and our federal election laws. They did it in 2020. When someone else fills your ballot, that is illegal. That is wrong. You are not allowed to do that. That is a invalid ballot. And, and the idea that you're going to allow people to vote without IDs, that's completely absurd. So anybody that argues and thinks our elections are fair, you just got your head in the sand.
Amen. You have to have an ID to get on a plane, but you don't have to have one to vote. That's ridiculous.
It's maddening. It's maddening. This has happened several times, and I always call it political theater and nonsense and really a waste of time. And I wish they would focus on things that would actually pass and prioritize properly. But anyways, U.S. Congressman Ro Khanna officially introduces bill to ban Congress and their spouses from trading stocks. Never going to pass. Never going to pass. Never going to pass. That'd be political suicide.
Yeah, he's a Silicon Valley guy that he's just doing that for show.
For show, yep. Dog and pony show.
Exactly. I wish they would just stop. This is such nonsense.
I mean, that's not even going to get through the Republican House.
Greg, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is why I say there's a social trinity in America, and it's comprised of freedom, virtue, and faith. And without all of those indispensable supports strong, you cannot have a republic. Now, freedom, we should have the freedom to do whatever we want with our money, whether we're in Congress or a private citizen. But the problem is these people lack virtue, rank, filthy whores. That's what they are. They go to Washington and they whore themselves out for the almighty buck. And they have no problem with getting an inside meeting that the Federal Reserve is going to lower interest rates, which is going to mean, skyrocketing stock market, and then going out and investing. These people have zero virtue. So unfortunately, when you have a country that promotes freedom is only supported if you have virtue, because only virtue of people of virtue can live in a free society. Otherwise, we just do whatever we want. And if you want virtuous people, you sure as hell better be a nation of faith. Because I tell you, I've been all around the world, and people that don't believe in a God are not virtuous people. And the same kind of people that will kill a baby, murder a baby in the 9th month, these are not virtuous people because they have no faith. They have no God. They're godless, and their souls are empty. And if you want to have a faith believing and practicing society, you have to have a free society. Ask anybody in China or in Russia or in Iran, where you could not even pass out a Christian tract without going to jail, if not worse. So freedom, virtue, faith, these are indispensable supports of our country. And unfortunately, we've attacked all three of these supports. And is it no surprise that the republic is crumbling?
Yeah.
Tony, you have thoughts on this?
No, I mean, Greg is right.
Yep.
I mean, you can't even. They attacked everything that we hold dear to our hearts, and they did it for a reason. Without that base, we're never going to get out of this anyway.
Well, all we have is God, Tony, and that's all we need. And unless people turn to Him, and we're done anyway, and it won't matter. But we're not of this world anyway. We're just in it, and whatever happens, happens. But Biden said he wants $100 billion for Ukraine.
Jesus.
And that money is not paid for.
I think it gets passed. I think Republicans will get it.
Didn't they just pass a big defense budget, like 800?
That was today what I was talking about.
Defense authorization.
Defense authorization.
What was that? 800 million?
800 billion.
A little over 800 billion. Yeah.
Yep.
But now, well, check it out. So the interest payments this year now exceed everything but Social Security. So the interest on the debt.
To be exact here, they signed a defense budget of $886 billion for 2024, which also extends an overseas electronic surveillance system widely used by U.S. intelligence services.
Yep. It's all for the Patriot Act. The old Patriot Act.
Yeah.
The program allows U.S. security services to conduct electronic surveillance programs, including through email snooping of non-U.S. national abroad without seeking a judicial warrant. Greg, as you were saying, though, with the Social Security.
Well, the only thing, the highest, the second highest expenditure for the U.S. government now is servicing the debt, interest on the debt. And it's now second only to Social Security. And it will be number one in the next 5 years. It will be by far number one. And last month, we just recorded one of the largest deficits in history, $388 billion just in the month of November. So we spent over almost $600 billion, and we ran a $388 billion deficit. We took in $274 billion, I think it was, in tax revenues, and we spent $388 billion more. I mean, so extrapolate that, multiply that by 10, not by 12, but let's multiply it by 10 months if we do that. I mean, that's a $4 trillion debt. A deficit that we're going to run. So these the deficits that we're running are massive, and they're exploding the debt, and we've got hundreds of billions of dollars in short-term treasuries that got to be rolled over the next 2 years. Actually, trillions. The amount of $7 trillion will be rolled over next year. So, you want to talk about, is the Fed going to lower rates? Well, the Fed has to lower rates, because if they don't, all these new treasuries are going to be issued at 5.25%, 5.5%. We can't afford that. Our service on the debt will be $2 trillion at the rate we're going. It's an unsustainable path. We cannot have the rates this high. But what will happen when we lower the rates? Well, we're going to reignite this inflation thing, because we're not going to cut spending. People don't realize it's not the price of gas and the price of what is causing inflation is the massive amounts of money circulating in the system.
Amen.
And until the government cuts spending massively, it has to be massive cuts, then inflation will continue, and it's going to get worse, because there's no sign of slowing down the spending. There's no sign.
They actually want to raise it by 1%. I was listening to Thomas Massey today. He was interviewing on Glenn Beck, and Massey spoke about that, and it gets raised 1%. They're looking to try to raise it 1%.
Well, because they're trying to stop it from raising 5%. It's baseline budgeting. I mean, think about it. This is why, one of my platforms was we have to go to pre-COVID federal budget, pre-COVID, which was about just under $5 trillion. Why are we still spending this is baseline budget? Why do we still have the same budget when we were throwing trillions of dollars out of helicopters during COVID? It's crazy insanity. Why are we spending? Why is our budget $6.8 trillion? We're done with with COVID. We're past that. Why are we spending all that money? Just think about it. Remember all of the bailouts and all of the programs, the trillions of dollars from Trump to Biden that was supposed to combat all of the energy that was sucked out of the economy from COVID. Well, it's gone. And yet we're not going to go back to a $5 trillion budget. Can you imagine even suggesting a $5 trillion budget now when we're at 6.8? You wouldn't even get your feet off the ground. Would never happen. And frankly, it's not even possible because inflation has caused things to skyrocket in values. Social Security checks, Medicare payments, all this stuff is costing hundreds of billions of dollars more. So it's a huge mess. You know, Congress creates the big giant mess. The Federal Reserve enables them. And then when the shit hits the fan, the American taxpayer has to clean up the mess.
Bill, you have any thoughts on this whole matter?
That wraps it up. That's it exactly. And you would think with the trillions of dollars that we've spent since the year 2000, we would have a fantastic country. We would have the most beautiful airports and the greatest internet system and roads that were just smooth as glass all over the country. We would have beautiful buildings. We'd have everything if we're spending that kind of money, spending more than $30 billion that we actually brought in. That's about what the debt has been, or the national debt since the year 2000 has gone up. What, about $30 trillion?
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
It was around 4 to 5 trillion when Bush took over. What have we got to show for it? We got nothing, but we created a whole hell of a lot bigger welfare system. And like Greg says, this massive expansion of the federal government, boy, for those of us like me who firmly believe in a small, limited government that's close to home, man, we can forget that. That ain't happening anymore.
Nope.
Never,
unfortunately.
It's only expanding and getting bigger and getting more corrupt. It's bad stuff.
Yep.
Tony,
I'm with you, Bill.
thoughts?
Limited government, brother.
Well, Greg is on point, right? Yeah. Instead of getting smaller, we just keep getting bigger and bigger. And think about a career of a politician. Almost all of them are millionaires, right? Okay. On the salaries they're making, there's no way they should be millionaires at this point, and they are. So there's a lot of money that goes through, kind of like whether it's a local politic or federal politicians, they're all making money.
It's because they're whores.
Yeah. That's a good word, though. I like that. I'm going to use that, Greg.
That's the absolute truth. That's why I call Washington the city of harlots. You know, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and Los Angeles, the city of angels. It's the city of harlots because these people are prostitutes, and they go in there, paupers, and they come out princes.
What do we know about this whole spying surveillance bill that passed today? It's apparently an extension. They're adding on. It's a Patriot Act, but adding on to it, making it more severe, making it more.
It's so the FBI can keep spying on the American people. All they got to do is say, "Oh, this guy is threatening they would say democracy, but I would say republic. He's a threat to their agenda," and they're able to go in and attack us and remove us, take our guns away, and just do basically what they're doing to the January 6th Patriots.
Bill, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about how all this works because back in 1942-43, Roosevelt got Bill Donovan to start the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, which was a forerunner of the CIA. It was our intelligence agency to get us through World War II. After World War II, that OSS was disbanded, and then we started with the new CIA. But Herbert Hoover was so much against the CIA because he wanted the FBI to be able to control everything that the way they set up was everything in our hemisphere, North America, South America, would be the purview of the FBI, and then the CIA would have their surveillance or jurisdiction or whatever you want to call it for the rest of the planet. Now, is the CIA, are they at a point now where they're actually surveilling and spying and operating in our hemisphere, in North and South America?
They're not supposed to be spying on American citizens, but they
No, they're
are.
not supposed to operate in our
Right.
entire hemisphere
In
at all.
our territory, yeah, in our country. Yeah, you're right.
No, I'm talking about entire North America and South America. For example, the embassies in South America don't have CIA; they have FBI agents that play the role of intelligence agents in those embassies. If you go to Europe, for example, the CIA is embedded in the embassies in all the countries: France, England, Germany, et cetera, et cetera. But what I'm afraid of is the CIA so strong and so corrupt. Are they operating now in North America?
Greg, your thoughts on this?
And with all this money that's going out, who's getting all this money? You're talking about billions of dollars.
It's mind blowing. I mean, it's very disturbing. It's very
880 billion
what's going on. I don't have much information on this matter. Greg, do you know more about this scenario?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what the CIA is, but I would be very surprised if they were not everywhere. And you know what? Where the CIA isn't, we've got other agencies, whether it's the NSA, the FBI.
The FBI,
yeah, I mean, the FBI investigated millions of Americans and spied on millions of Americans. Look, anybody who thinks that they're safe from being looked at by the government is fooling themselves. You've got cameras everywhere. You've got listening devices everywhere. Your phone's listening to you. Your television's listening to you. And all of that metadata is being collected. So, I mean, it is very difficult to be off the radar today. Very, very difficult. And, you're fine until you try to buck the system or, push against, you become a threat to the establishment, and then you're not going to be fine. And that's why Donald Trump was able to do everything. Everybody loved Donald Trump. Everybody loved him until he was a threat to the establishment. And now they want him in jail. I mean, 75 years of business and growing companies and bringing all this wealth. And now they want to throw him in jail because he's a threat to the system.
Tony, you have thoughts on this?
No, I mean, Greg is right. Once you become a threat, Siaka is a prime example, right? He wasn't a threat when he was running for assembly, but now that he's, vice chair of the LA GOP, which is a strong organization, they went in and arrested him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. New news out today. Congress has approved legislation preventing any president from withdrawing the U.S. from NATO without approval from the Senate or an act of Congress.
Well,
how do you feel about this? Congress is sticking their nose where it doesn't belong. This is abuse.
Well, I don't know that a president should unilaterally do that, but
no,
Congress should.
Why is this Congress's authority? Why is this their job?
Well, because the Senate has to approve treaties, so it's all kind of along that. You can't just enter the same way you can't enter into agreement. The president just can't go in and, look at the Paris Accord and all of that. That should be the Senate should pass that. President should be able to do that. No more than he should be able to withdraw us. But, that's why we need a strong House and a strong Senate that will push the right legislation through. This not only good for America in a sense of nationalism, but good for America on the global landscape.
Hey, that brings up an interesting point, Greg. Do the Republicans have any opportunity at all to win the Senate in 2024? Right now, there's 50 Republicans and 46 Democrats and
not 50-50.
It's 51 to 49.
Well, it's 51. No, there's.
I thought it was 50-50 because Kamala is the tie-breaking vote.
Yeah. But as far as senators are concerned, there's actually 50 Republican senators, 46 Democrat senators, and 4 independents that caucus with the Democrats, which makes it 50-50. Kamala Harris then has the deciding vote. And apparently she's voted more times than any other vice president has ever voted before, tiebreakers. So, but I guess one of the things I'm concerned about is, can we hold on to the House? Can we actually win the Senate? And can we get a seat back in Georgia? Can we get a seat in Arizona? You know, that's. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Bill, let me ask you. We had the House and the Senate the first 2 years of President Trump's presidency, and what did they do?
Nothing.
Exactly.
And actually, it was a travesty, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Well,
so the Republicans can't even get together. Boy, the Democrats. So boy,
they have no balls.
When they decide they're in lockstep.
Look, there's 33. There's 33 Senate seats up, and a good amount of them are winnable by Republicans. And we are a minority. There's only 49 Republicans. Look, all the rest, you call the independents what you want. They vote, just as you said. And the only reason why Kamala voted was there were a couple of times when they couldn't get Sinema or Manchin on some of their radical leftists, you know, the packing the courts and all that. So,
hey, Greg, real quick, who votes for Dianne Feinstein right now?
Well, they put that black lady in there. They appointed it.
Did they?
Newsom appoint. Yeah, that's an appointment when they die or they leave.
I just didn't know he appointed somebody yet.
Did she appoint? Oh, yeah, they appoint right away. And remember, Bogovich was like, this thing ain't. I'm not going to give this thing away. He was trying to sell his position. Remember that Blagojevich when he was a governor, and Barack Hussein Obama left, and he was trying to sell it. That's when Blagojevich went to prison. But anyway, yeah, they quickly appointed, but she's not running again. So, but that's California, you know. I mean, good luck are the Republicans going to win that Senate seat. But you've got Joe Manchin's seat. You've got I think Menendez, isn't he? I think he's up for re-election. That crooked guy, he should be in prison.
Yeah. Yep. What do we make of this, Joe? You wanted to say something, Tony?
No. I don't think that we're going to win the Senate or the House this time around.
Me neither.
I would argue that
we lose the presidency, we lose the House, and we lose the Senate. We're triple fucked.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we. Look, it's possible, but you know, look, this economy is horrific. They're going to have to do some incredible financial gymnastics to pull some kind of a win out of the hat for the economy, because this economy is just going to get worse next year. There's no way the commercial real estate market is going to get saved. There's no way that household income is somehow going to explode and people are going to afford 21%. Now credit cards up over 21% interest and the trillions of dollars in household debt, 5 trillion household debt. There's no way any of this comes out to be good for the American. And you just said, they're telling us all these things on television. If you ask anybody in their life, and just look at their life, I don't know a single person whose life is better financially. Not a single person. And then you look at the southern border, and you look at the chaos, the geopolitical. You look at the war in Ukraine. You look at the Afghanistan. Look, there are so many things that are devastating for the Democrat Party. That unless they pull a magic rabbit out of Joe Biden's drawers, I don't know how people vote Democrat next year.
Now, what do we think about this whole Joe Biden impeachment?
I think it's a hoax. I don't think they're going to do it. They would have done it already. They impeached President Trump so quick just about him inquiring about what Joe Biden has done, and yet they haven't impeached Joe Biden yet. I think it's all a dog and pony show.
No, they're being methodical about it. They're trying to be smart about it. I mean, so back to say there's 10 seats that are Republican and 20 seats held by Democrats and 3 by independents. So 23 independent and Democrats are up for re-election and only 10 Republicans. So that's a lot. We could easily take the Senate. I mean, especially when you look at a few of the clowns that are on that the Democrat list. But look, I don't think there wasn't a landslide in 22 for a lot of reasons, but I don't think people were really feeling the pain enough. But they're going to be feeling the pain come next year. Again, unless the government, does another helicopter swoop and throwing bags of money out, they might do that.
Greg, it says right here, credit card defaults are still rising faster than the peak of the financial crisis. This is happening at a time when credit card debt just hit new highs. This is setting the stage for a big economic shock.
Yeah, it's just look, and I think that Christmas is going to be a telltale.
And they're saying that people are spending more than ever before. That's because of inflation. They're
Absolutely,
trying to make
absolutely.
these news articles and these headlines sound good and promising and optimistic, but it's bullshit.
It is both, because they're spending more and getting less. And the American people know that, and they can spend it all they want. But you know what? The American people know that. That's why you look at these swing states, and they're saying Trump. We'll take Trump. And you know, it's hard to make a case for Biden, especially when the guy's stumbling and fumbling. And you know, it may have worked last time. You know, him in the basement. I don't know how well that works. You know, they're going to try to keep Trump in the courtroom to counter that. But you know, I don't know how the American people see that. But it's all going to be based on the level of pain. And if the government's going to give a bunch of money away like they did and like they've done in the past, you know, some more student loan jargon and trying to get the blacks with some reparations. You know, who knows what machinations are going to evolve in that city. But that's the only way they can take this election, in spite of all of the bogus balloting in the mail. And I don't think that's going to be enough to counteract what the American
and
people.
now it says buying a home is now 52% more expensive than renting. We were talking about that earlier. The future generation is screwed, man. The people that have all these, wishes of buying a house, they're screwed. I mean,
I think it's changing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel fortunate, grateful, and blessed, man. I bought my house for cash, so I don't even have a mortgage. Bill, I'm like you, man. No mortgage. I mean, that's the way to go.
Amen. Same here.
Bill, what were you going to say?
No, Greg, you were saying something.
No, Bill was going to say something.
Yeah, I want to, Greg. Here's the thing: are there enough airheads in the United States that will buy into this reproductive rights issue? Because that's apparently what swung the tide that stopped the red wave in 2022. And then you add on identity politics and global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it. Well, they got some issues that they can really get some people who are have what I call airheads, people who have zero information, zero knowledge of what's happening in America today. They just go by what they hear, and some of this sounds pretty good to
maybe
people who can't think.
I think maybe though that freedom to kill babies is going to be second to their ability to buy groceries. So kill babies, buy groceries. You know what? I'm gonna delay killing the babies because I can't because I can't buy my groceries. So I'm gonna vote for Republican. I think it's going to come down to that. I mean, yeah, you want to be able to go put a hanger in your womb and rip the baby out. You could do that. But you won't have any money to buy groceries and put food on the table. And I think that's going to win out with people.
The hanger thing, too graphic.
Yeah. Do you think the climate change is starting to people are starting to understand that, hey, this EV thing and alternative energy really ain't working?
I don't know that people are learning that. I think what's due to social media and a lot of independent news reporting, we're able to get the truth out, but you're not going to get any help from Google. You're not going to get any help from Facebook or any of those people. But I think people are learning the other side of it, that there is. Now, of course, I've never been a believer in climate change since the 80s. When I was a kid, I thought it was all a big hoax and a lie.
They used to call it doomsday. Remember, Greg, all the doomsday predictions?
Yeah.
Well, it was global cooling when I was a kid, and then it was global warming, and all the fish were going to die, and by 2000, and now it's just climate change.
But Y2K, right?
Yeah, right. But many people don't see the alternative science, if you want to call it that, the science that contradicts the truth. You've got Ramaswamy out there, I mean, hugely attacking it, right on the money, saying it's a huge hoax. But look what the entirety of the media does to them. They assassinate this guy, and he's like a flat earther. And but I think what he's doing in that kind of thing in all of this media is at least getting people to say, maybe there's something else, and maybe this is not good for the people. And you can believe that climate change is real. I don't. But you can believe that climate change is real and still say that the direction the country's moving to accommodate this is absolutely wrong. And I think more people are realizing that. We can't afford to plug cars in and get rid of coal and watch our prices. And remember Obama, your electric bill will necessarily skyrocket. People are seeing this is just stupid. China's building a one coal plant a week or something ridiculous, and we're closing ours down. I think people are waking up. Like, look, if we want to be beholden to China and our enemies, then just do what the Democrats tell us we should do. Otherwise, they're going to push back.
Yeah, and you were talking about commercial real estate. Commercial real estate defaults are on the rise. This includes two types of loans, under 50 million and over 50 million.
Which is pretty much all the loans.
Delinquencies on both types are rising sharply. As you mentioned, refinancing costs are going to be a nightmare for these people.
Well, and we talked about this before because I've got a very close friend of mine who's a real estate developer in New York and owns multiple buildings. He's refinancing one of them. It's a hotel, and 120 million. I think he has to refinance next year, and he's walking on eggshells. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He literally, I'll quote, "I don't know what you're doing." I said, "Lance, what are you going to do?" He said, "I don't know what I'm going to do." Those are his words. This is a guy who's got millions of dollars in property. I don't know what I'm going to do. That is his prognosis.
That's scary, man. And you
and
mentioned,
then on the other end of the spectrum, the homeowners who have adjustable rate mortgages, that's all going to start coming due. And there's 3% loans that they got are now going to be what, 6-7%?
Yeah. And just think about the screeching halt when people are not going to sell their homes. Nobody's going to sell their home because unless they're going to retire and go maybe live on a cruise ship, because to sell your home, you got to buy another one. And unless you can pay cash for it, you're going to be saddled with a 6-7% mortgage. So look, I think the only way out of this mess, the only way to not crash the economy is for drastic rate cuts, but that will create a whole other another mess. It's going to create a huge mess. And what we could have ultimately see is, in spite of the rate cuts, because remember, the Federal Reserve can cut the rates all they want, but they still have to sell the billions of dollars in treasuries. And there's no guarantee that anybody's going to buy those treasuries. So what happens if they cut rates to 4%? And nobody wants to buy a 3-month treasury at 4% or a 2-year treasury at these rates. So now you get no buyers. So then the Federal Reserve is going to have to do what they do best, quantitative easing, and go in and buy those when there's nobody else to buy them. And that's just massive money printing. That's why I believe we're going to see inflation take out the old highs of 9.1%.
Yeah, and I think to sum it all up, Greg, is what you're saying is, when the government gets involved in manipulating the economy, we're the losers.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's what bothers me because, like I said before, Congress, our fiscal policy created this huge mess. And now our monetary policy, and just listen to the language that Jerome Powell needs a softer labor market. What does that mean? That means you got to lose your job. That's exactly what that means. I mean, so people, they're not even grasping the magnitude, the condescension, the arrogance, and the I don't give a damn about you. You mean nothing. You made the mess. You printed all of this money and got us hooked on heroin, and now you're going to take the heroin away and watch us disintegrate. So you got to lose your job. We have to lose our jobs so that they can then start cutting rates. So thank you very much. You made the problem, and now you're using me and punishing me for your mistake. And that's been the way it's been for 50 years in this country. And frankly, ever since we got off the gold standard, that was the beginning of the end.
Right, and it says here restaurants are up 24% prices since January 2020, according to Bloomberg.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a significant increase, 24% in restaurant prices. Then you got to tip them too, which this is not sustainable. I'm not complaining about the tipping aspect, but they want to tip for serving coffee, to go.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to tip for every little thing. I think it's gotten a little out of control.
Oh, it's way out of control. Now you go to like not fast food, but you go to counters, and every counter it sells for a tip. Look, if I go to unless I'm sitting down and I have a waitress, you don't get a tip. Yeah. But like every single store you go to has a tip. Like I'm sitting at a counter. Why am I going to tip you? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then, for example, Five Guys went from the big tip jar to now when you put your credit card in, you get the choice, 15, 20, or 25% or whatever the hell it is. And
actually, Bill, I've seen where they don't even offer you 15.
Ever after.
Yeah.
Bill, I've seen where they don't even offer 15. It's usually 18 and above.
I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah. No, I know.
I
I'm just
wouldn't doubt
saying.
it.
I agree with you, but
Yeah, food trucks.
Tony-
We got food trucks up here. You go get your money. You go get a taco for the food truck. Ask you if you want to leave a tip. Are you serious? They don't guilt me into a tip though. I proudly push no tip.
Tony, before you go, do you have any thoughts on this tipping?
You know what? I mean, everybody's on point. I broke it down. I gave a speech last week, and I broke it down this way. A loaf of bread in my area costs $5.49 for a loaf of bread. If that doesn't hit you in the face as a consumer, nothing will. Right?
How much is a loaf of bread?
$5.49.
It's $3.99 at Publix here. The brand that I buy, I don't buy that much. Hey, here's another thing about going out. I don't drink because I take these meds.
Yeah, I don't either.
I haven't had a drink in 5 years. But in any case, I usually get unsweet iced tea because the doctors say the sweet iced tea is going to kill me. Okay, so iced tea used to be about $2.35 for a glass. Then it went up to $2.85. So last Saturday morning, a bunch of the guys from my association, we all got together in this one place at 11 o'clock, and I look at my bill, and the iced tea now is $3.15. So it's gone up like 50% just to make a glass of iced tea. Of course, you get a free refill. Right. But here's the thing: you talk about prices going up. In restaurants. All the restaurants now, they're either reprinting their menus, or they're not having menus, or they're doing whatever, and all of a sudden prices just keep going up and up. And for a guy like me, I go out to eat because I don't like to cook 7 days a week. It's tough for me to cook. I can cook for 8 people. I can't cook for one person. I don't know how to do that.
Hey, Bill, what I do is I try to hit the little cafes up during the day, the local small, and they have a $7 breakfast: eggs, bacon, home fries, toast, and I mean that kind of beats it compared to, and then maybe have one.
The diners are my favorite places, breakfasts and lunches and so forth. But the problem is most of them close about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. But I can go and
eat the rest of the day.
Here's what I do. I go and get breakfast, and then they have like the dinners. Get a dinner to go for like $11 or something like that. They package it up and everything and bring it home and heat it up in the microwave, and I've got another meal.
Hey, Bill, why don't you just cook for 8 and then take the next 7 days off?
Yeah, listen, my freezer is full of leftovers. The stuff I make, I don't know if anybody else would eat. I like to make things like lasagna or chili or stuff like that. And I don't know how to make a small portion of that. I can eat like 3 times and have 3 in the freezer.
Tony, before you take off, I want to ask you this because I want to get into this next topic. This is such horse shit. The media is trying to put this out there. I think it has to do with the fact that Ukraine is getting more money and they're trying to keep the narrative alive. But there's outlets reporting that Russia has lost almost 90% of its pre-war army, according to U.S. intelligence. I don't buy it for a second. Russia is dominating. They are winning this war. It's not even a comparison.
I don't believe that nonsense. I still can't figure out if they're ever going to come clean why we're really fighting in Ukraine. Is it because all the labs that we have there? Who knows?
Yep, the bioweapon labs. And
I don't know if that's the reason why we want to keep giving money.
Well, because it's Putin. Putin bad. We got to stop the Russian aggression because after he takes Ukraine, they think he's going to take Poland and he's going to take Germany. He's going to keep moving. His aggression for all of Europe. It's a real simple thing. The guy did not want Ukraine to go into NATO, and I can't say blame him. Was it worth $200 billion and tens of thousands of lives to die on this hill that maybe or maybe not Ukraine will be part of NATO? Was it worth the billions of dollars? We're talking 200 billion right now, all in. Plus, and that's going up. That's not counting what we're going to throw this next 100 billion. They've already spent 200 billion. And how many is it worth it? Is that the hill that you could have died on? Look,
He wants
Ukraine, you're not
Crimea.
going to be in NATO. Good luck. Maybe 20 years from now, but you're not going to be in NATO. And let Putin know that. And none of this would have happened.
Putin and the people of Crimea want to be part of Russia because most of them are Russia anyway. So they could have just easily allowed Crimea to go to Russia and keep the rest of Ukraine. But it's way deeper and way evil than what we can even think or imagine.
Yeah. And something to think about, guys. It's not just Ukraine anymore, right? We got to worry about what China's up to nowadays.
China's licking their wound. China's trying to get themselves out of a massive economic mess.
And what's the best way? They're going to stay put for a little while. What's the best way to get out of it?
Try to get Taiwan.
No, I don't. I think that's. I don't think they're in a position financially. Now, I say, when they complete de-dollarization, that might be the case. But I think they're in too much trouble in all aspects of their economy.
Sure.
Not that they're abandoning that. They want Taiwan, and they will get Taiwan.
They just don't
I just don't know if it's imminent.
I agree.
I got to go, guys.
All right, Tony. We'll talk to you.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Bill Muckler. Tony, tell everybody where they can find you real quick.
You can find me at Tony4California.us. That's my website. You'll find out what I'm about there. Thanks, guys. Good night.
God bless, brother. Kick some butt over there in Cali.
Bill Muckler, you have any thoughts on this war? I know you've been following it pretty closely.
Well, if we just think in terms of the new proposed spending, 880 billion,
886 billion to be exact.
Yeah, okay. Who's that money really going to? The military-industrial complex, who is funded by the banking industrial complex. So does that give us any kind of a hint as to who's going to really profit from and who this is really going to benefit? Is it going to benefit the Ukrainians? I don't think so,
No.
And then I hear, stories like 500,000 Ukrainian soldiers have died. That's an impossible number. Who came up with a number like that? We lost 58,000 in Vietnam over, 10 years, and they're saying 500,000? They don't even have an army that's that big, I don't think, to lose that many people. So, this whole thing, they're telling us all these people are being killed. We got to fund this never-ending war. And who's really coming out ahead? The military-industrial complex. But then that's my conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely got to make. They love wars, of course. You know what I mean? If you,
so does Nikki Haley.
I mean, if you make beer, you love parties. Yeah, so of course they love wars. That's how they make their billions and billions and billions of dollars. But unfortunately, it's the politicians that make the policy, and they're the ones that are getting. People want to blame. They want to blame the military-industrial complex for these wars. They're making a bunch of. Well, of course, that's their business. You know what I mean? That's what they like to do
for their policies to make it.
It's the politicians that allow themselves to get bought out. They're the ones that are the problem. I mean, look, we do well with a strong military-industrial complex. It gives us the most advanced weaponry in the world. So we do very well by having that. We don't have to beg foreign countries, hey, build us a jet that we can buy. Hey, how about the Tornado? We could use your jet. No, we supply the jets. So we've got the best jets in the world. The F-22, the F-35. We do very well. We've got the most capable tank in the world, our ships in the world. So we profit from that from a national security standpoint. So, of course, they're going to love the wars, but the military-industrial complex is not the problem. It's the whores in Washington that get themselves bought out. And I really get pushback as somebody who spent a lot of years flying, $300 million jet. We've got the strongest military. That requires an industrial complex like we have. But we don't need politicians that are going to get bought off and do things that are not in America's best interest. And that bill that they just passed, the $800+ billion, includes a 5.2% raise for troops, which, okay, that's great. But that's on top of the 3.2% cost of living adjustment that was established in October that will take effect January 1st. So they're getting actually 5.2 plus 3.2. So, I mean, that's a huge raise,
And Greg, it says that Zelensky is telling U.S. lawmakers he is willing to raise military conscription age above 40.
Yeah, they're running out of people.
How how does he get away with it? This is crazy. Can you imagine if somebody in the United States was above 40 fighting in a war?
Oh, we got a lot of people fighting in wars. You just can't join the military at 40. But we got a
No,
lot
I'm
of people
talking about in regards to joining
Yeah.
the military. Like he wants people to join the military at 40.
Well, in
Well,
his
I guess
country,
if China was here in the United States and marching through the Western states and everything, maybe some of us old guys would join.
with this 5.2% raise plus this 3.2, I'm thinking about coming back in myself. They're
Amen,
hurting for
brother.
pilots.
Yeah, shoot.
Crazy.
I mean, might as well, right? Shoot.
I mean, what's that gonna look like? Are all his people eventually just gonna be dead?
Well, there's going to be a lot of single women.
That's true, man. That's true. I mean, these husbands and these men are just forced. Is that how it works?
Pretty much. I
Yeah,
mean,
who knows? We might have a draft with the way we're going, with the way
Oh,
our
God, can you imagine?
Well, the recruiting numbers are horrific for all
Yes,
the branches
they are.
except the Marine Corps. Horrific.
Lord,
Maybe
help
this
us.
5.2% raise will bring them. I'll tell you what, if I'm a young person, especially if I'm a college graduate, to be an officer in the military today, I can't think of a more lucrative job opportunity for a new college graduate.
Yeah,
I mean,
but would you
oh,
want to serve under this administration, though? That's the thing.
No,
Yeah.
but administrations change. Next one. Well, if Trump's elected, maybe they
Well,
come and go.
that's
Look, I served under Bush. Late in the military under Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Obama. You like to be under a Republican president, but I'm just saying for somebody who wants a job, it wants a good paying job with a zero cost healthcare. There's none of this. Well, you got a copay or you got to pay this much in your. No, it's zero. You walk into the clinic, zero. Here's my ID. Fix me. There's no healthcare benefit like the militaries where you just show up. So it's very, very, I'd say lucrative. It's a great opportunity for people. By the time your fifth year, especially as a Navy pilot, if you're 5 years as a Navy pilot, you're making well over $100,000, $120,000, $140,000, depending where you live. That's good money for a lieutenant in the Navy. Actually, it's at 4 years.
Yeah, because you have no bills. Heck yeah. Well,
Bill,
you might
that's
have
good money. 4 years, you've been in the military 4 years, you're making 100,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I want to shift topics here. We've talked about AI many times and how it's taking over and how advanced and how evolved it is. Wendy's, the fast food chain, is implementing AI powered by Google to take customers' drive-through orders. The company claims that the AI system will not just take orders, claiming it's a personalized, responsive experience for every customer. Say goodbye to these minimum wage workers, man. All these people that want a raise, you're being replaced.
That's what.
Hey, when
AI is
minimum wage,
taking over everything.
When minimum wage becomes maximum wage, the wage disappears. That's just the way it works.
Yep.
Oh
That's
my
just.
God, it's happening. It's happening, and you got robots flipping burgers.
Yep. Soon they'll be in the Amazon warehouses. All that. They're taking over everything, every industry.
And the Democrats are the one pushing for this wage increase, but what the Democrats are really doing is hurting the everyday employee. And these employees think, that they're owed an increase and they're so entitled, and they live in oblivion. They fail to understand that they can easily be replaced by robots. They think that they're needed. They don't understand that they can so easily be replaced.
Rory, back when I was still working as a consultant, I'm talking about back around 2011, 2012, I was flying Delta a lot, and I'd end up always being transferred in Detroit. And that was their hub, one of their hubs. And so I'd go to get something to eat, and this is Detroit, which I guess you could understand it. But you'd go someplace, and everything was, press the button for this, press the button for that, and this is the drink you want. This is what you want on your burger or your sandwich or your meal, and here's a credit card. And then you wait around for about 5 minutes or so, and somebody walks back with a bag and hands it to you. And that's 10, 11, 12 years ago. So, I'm not surprised. This is going to take over. Now, that's in the airports. Now, I think what you're talking about is happening in the drive-throughs, so if I go down 2 miles down the road to Wendy's and I drive through Wendy's to get a burger, I'm going to have to tell it, or am I going to have to press
Eventually it'll be at all the Wendy's. I think they're only doing it at a few locations.
I mean, you know,
right
they'll probably have something there that you can either talk to it and give it a verbal command, or you can press, you know, the different selections. Hey, you go into places like, if I go into Five Guys and I want to get a drink, they give me a cup and I go over there and they got the machine, and you get 20 different flavors of Coke and Dr. Peppers and every other thing, you know, put the cup in there, you get a little ice, and you get your drink, and that's it. You know, it's all automated.
Yep,
So,
they're going to take over grocery stores too. They'll be your checkout clerks, baggers.
Right. Yeah, if you go to Walmart, you know, or I went to Dollar General for the first time in my life to get Christmas cards because you can't get them anyplace else around here.
Tony, or Bill, real quick, is that when you said Dollar General, is it $5 General now? Is anything in there a dollar?
Yeah, the Christmas cards were $1 a piece, but I ended up, I think they cost me about $1.50 a piece by the time I checked out. But I had to check out myself at the little stand there because they only got one guy working in the store.
And eventually, just like TikTok can read your mind with their algorithms and their advanced AI technology, when you go into these drive-thrus, when you go into these stores, they'll be able to read your mind on what you want to order. You won't even need to, eventually, in the future, not right now. I wouldn't say anytime anytime soon, but at some point, that's what it will be.
Well, I'll tell you
it's like mind reading. This is what AI is coming to. It's going to mind read. So you
won't Walmart okay with me because I always feel awkward trying to speak into one of those speakers.
Well, who are you going to shoot when they don't give you the large fries?
The way they pick up on this stuff, though, like TikTok, for example, I'll be thinking about some random scene in a movie or some random, comedian or actor. 5 minutes later, it'll pop up the exact thing I was thinking about. This is where they're taking technology. It's unbelievable. It's dangerous, but it's also extremely freaking convenient. So people are going to have to choose. Do they want the danger or do they want the convenience?
I think Walmart's doing somewhat of a reversal on the whole self-checkout thing, because it's kind of like one for me, one for you. People are like scanning every third item and they're losing a lot of money. So they're realizing that, maybe this whole, get rid of the cashier, let them scan, it's not working out. They're losing a lot of money in certain areas and markets, which you can only imagine and guess. The theft has gone through the roof because people don't scan all the items.
And I'm noticing at Walmart, it's happening quite a bit. People just, like you say, Greg, just skip items.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is where we're at. I mean, you have people checking receipts, but they're not going through.
Oh, they don't. Yeah.
They don't care. They're on what's on their mind is, when do I get the fuck out of here? Fuck this place. That's what they're thinking. They're like, I hate my life. I hate Walmart. I just want to get out of here.
But they shouldn't be allowed to check receipts because you did all the work. It's like, I didn't even get an employee discount for scanning my own stuff.
Like, you should.
I have yet. Recently,
most of them are just like, just go.
Right, because recently I haven't had anybody check it I don't go to Walmart a lot, but they used to check it all the time, and they kind of be pretty good. Like a few years ago, they don't even check anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, I wonder how much money they're losing. You brought up a good point, Greg. I wonder how much money when you add it all up, because it can't be a low amount. I'm sure it's a lot.
They know exactly. They know to the dollar what they're losing in retail theft and all these different things. They can figure that out.
Yeah. I don't know how this is sustainable. These self-checkouts. I just don't.
How's it sustainable in California having retail? Because don't people steal between?
Technology will fix it. You know, what they need is
over time, not right now, though. They're going to keep
Right.
losing money and losing items.
No, but I'm saying, you know, you get a scan, you see a product. If a guy picks a product up and it goes across the camera and doesn't get scanned, it's not. It won't be long before they have that technology. Like alarm will go off, like because it's already. If you don't place it in the baggage area, it'll be a warning. You'll get a warning. So you scan something and you don't put it down on that platform that has a sensor on it, it will tell you. It's kind of a pain, right? Because you know you got all this stuff and there's only so much area, square inches on that bagging area. So maybe you try to put it right in the cart and you'll get the warning. You got to place it in the bagging area. So it's technology will get perfected more to where you won't be able to swipe it or just sweep it on by. You know what I mean? It'll be looking at that stuff. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe it'll be so sophisticated that the thing will just like look at your whole basket and you know what I mean? Pick everything up.
That's crazy. Greg, it says here, did you read this? And we've talked about the scam and just the corruption of what happened with all the PPP loans. Planned Parenthood received $90 million in forgiven PPP loans during the pandemic. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That was just reported.
Yeah, no surprise. I mean, there was so much fraudulent and theft in that program. It's disgusting.
Unbelievable. How is this not more monitored? How is this not more? I don't
because the government can do what they want.
Go ahead.
How do you monitor $1 trillion from Washington D.C.?
Well, think about how much the government monitors and how much they know. If they really want to know, they'll know. So it makes me think that they were just careless and reckless.
Yeah, but when you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people applying for these loans that are adversely impacted, you shut us down. So now give us money. You basically punished us. You're not allowing us to go in business. So now you got to compensate us for it. So then they come out with all these crazy, So look, anytime that any program, not just the PPP, but any government program is ripe with fraud. There's tons of fraud in every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look at the checks. How many of the checks went to prisoners and dead people?
Dead people, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the government. Good luck. Good luck with that massive Leviathan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a government? I forget. Donald Rumsfeld, didn't he say like $6 trillion was missing one time, and then
there was a bunch of money missing? Yeah, I remember that. A couple trillion. I don't know if it was 6, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, the military, we fight wars. There's some of those guys in the counting, and you're thinking about the billions and billions of dollars that are every single day. I don't even know how they can even come close to having a budget and being able to understand how much we've spent. You've got so much stuff, and just think about it. You've got massive amounts of weapons that are in storage facilities. You've got ships, you've got personnel. You've got accounting. They want you to account for everything. The computers on the desk in a squadron. How is that even possible when you've got an organization as big as the Department of Defense?
Right. You have any thoughts, Bill?
No.
We're going to conclude here in a second.
I guess what I'm thinking about is Greg talking about pay, and I remember when I got commissioned, I was making $222.30 a month, and when I was out in the FMF, the pilots got the same pay as I did as a air controller, but they got $110 a month flight pay. Wow! Obviously, that's gone up quite a bit.
And you were an officer, Bill? Wow.
What?
And you were an officer? Wow!
I ended up an 03 captain in the Marine Corps.
Oh wow! Thanks.
Greg, I guess, outranks me. I'm sure.
So I'm talking to officers. Excuse me for not saluting, guys. Oh.
Well, hey, Bill. Now the flight pay max. When I was in the flight pay, I maxed it at $850. Now the max is $1,000. So $1,000 a month. So whatever your pay is, if you go over to, if you've been flying for 12 years, it starts off, kind of low, but it's a lot more. You get a lot more even than when I did, because $700, 6 years, you're getting $700, and at 12 years, you get $1,000. That's pretty good.
I forget what I got as an enlisted guy in the late 90s. I can't even remember.
My paycheck was $800 a month as an ensign. $800 a month when when I first went in as an ensign.
Damn.
What year was that?
What's that?
What year?
1990. But
Okay.
then George W. Bush really started, because Clinton, actually, it's funny because the adjustments under Clinton was actually adjusted 0.5% below what they use now, the urban CPI. They base your COLA, so whatever the CPI is for urban, then they raise your military pay the exact same. Under Clinton, I want to say early it was 1.5% below that, and that was like 0.5% below. So you actually were consistently getting a pay less than the COLA. Now it's matched. The COLA, whatever civilians get, the military gets. And but under George Bush, he gave us huge raises, like just right out of the gates. Didn't matter what inflation was. We were getting like 4% and 5% raises. He was trying to equalize it with the private sector. So George W. Bush did a lot for military pay.
Guys, anything before we close out tonight? Anything we left out?
No, I think we covered it all.
Covered it all.
I think
All right,
we're good.
Bill, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get involved.
Who, me?
Yep.
Yep. I'm in Facebook jail, so you can't find me anyplace. And Rory, I appealed. I haven't heard from them. They're not.
You went live today, though.
What?
You went live today.
Yeah, but all I can do is I can edit the audience to public, but I can't share it with anybody, and I can't go on. I can't post anything on Facebook. Plus the fact I tried to send you a copy of the photo that they put me in jail for on your DM,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't even take that,
Wow.
which is really unusual. All I did was I just posted a photo, no text, no nothing, on one of my book readers pages. It's just a photo of me standing there holding up a couple of books, and I posted that photo probably several thousand times, and all of a sudden, bam! And every time I go on there, I mean, this message pops up. I've still got 5 days to serve in jail.
Brian, go ahead.
Well, you can find me here on Next Gen Live and Centralist TV, YouTube, not Twitter. I've been permanently banned. Facebook, Fascist Book here. You can find me, and eventually Rumble. Trying to get on Instagram Live, but other than that, you can find me here. Everybody have a blessed Christmas. God bless you. Remember the reason for the season is Jesus. He sacrificed his on the cross for all of our sins, and just pray for that our republic and the world changes, man.
Amen. Amen. Greg Merck.
Yep, you can always find me on Facebook and Twitter and here on the Next Gen Live.
Excellent. Well, everybody, another episode in the books. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Great show. So much addressed, so much established. Until next time, I'm Rory Sauter. This is the Next Gen Live. We'll see you soon, everybody. God bless.
Woo!
Much love.
God bless everybody.
God bless.
Good night.
See you.